Hey, I'm Dr. Melissa, soul strategist, master healer, and I solve unsolvable problems. Good morning, Luann. This is awesome to have you here with me for solving unsolvable problems.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
This is going to be awesome. I would love for you to take just a few minutes and tell us kind of what's coming up for you this morning. Um, what is something that we can really work together on in the time that we have together?
Well, a couple things came to mind. One of the big issues in my life right now is we've had a lot of issues with my son. He's 20 years old. He suffered a brain injury, um, followed by another brain injury, and he's been very unstable and having issues with substance use for coping. And he's, with the pandemic, has been living at home. So it's been a real struggle trying to connect with him and deal with the issues that he has going on when he's been very, very volatile as a result of the stuff that's happened. And that's been really stressful in our house. And when I notice that things are getting more stressful and more out of control, the things that I do to sort of self-regulate also seem to fall apart. So I don't eat the right things, and I'm not as I don't pay attention to self, and as a result, my productivity falls, and I get the physical changes. I gain weight. I've worked really hard to get my weight down throughout the course of my life, and it just seems to, again, when I get other centered, the attention I pay to myself doesn't work. My decision making is not as good, and on a practical level, and then on a physical level, I just don't seem to be able to do the things I know that I need to do, and to keep things moving in a good direction.
Oh yeah, that's going to be horrible, and I'm so sorry about your son.
Thank you. It's been a rough go.
That sounds like a really rough go. Really stressful.
Absolutely. He has, as a result of his head trauma, he actually, and PTSD, he has dissociative episodes. So he basically goes out and acts, belligerent up to and including, verbally violent, says terrible things, and he's completely unaware he's doing it. So we're trying to get the right help involved for him, but again, it's hard. He doesn't even realize he's doing it.
Oh yeah. So it's not his fault. It's just a sort of a
Hmm.
result of the circumstances.
Right.
One of the things that I think is really uh, my hope would be really helpful about the way that um, we will work together on this is obviously there's nothing I can do about or for him in this way. Um, but by shifting things in you, so it might be a pattern, it might be a subconscious belief system, it might be, some energetic, um, there's some energetic piece that is helping you to be stuck in the pattern with him. Um, and by shifting that, we should make things way better for you. And most of the time, it will shift for the people around you as well. They won't even necessarily know that you sat here and chatted with me this morning and that we did
Hmm.
any of this work, but things will shift and it will evolve. So
That's really great.
that would really be my hope at the end, is that you see all kinds of things sort of shift and fall away as we get to the bottom of it.
That's really cool. Because I mean, one of the things is we are, he's my son and we're wired very similarly. So I really feel like I'm trying to do the right things for him as well as myself, but I keep hitting walls. And, again, why do we keep doing the same things with the same results, but don't know how to break out of it?
Oh, absolutely. And so often it's not even, most of the time, it's not things that we can think our way through. You and I are both smart women. We we often will think like, well, I should be able to outsmart this problem or think my way through this or whatnot. And it's those underlying currents, the subconscious patterns, the subconscious beliefs that are disrupting the energy field in the first place, that are drawing in more behaviors that you don't want, attracting more things
Sure.
that you don't want. That if we can clear that out, because those pieces cannot be resolved with the mind. It just doesn't work. there's no amount of thinking or smartness that will take care of that part.
Lord knows I've tried. And that's why I'm here.
Awesome. So as far as the process goes, what I'm going to do in a minute is invite you to close your eyes and do some deep breathing. And I will lead you through sort of a grounding meditation where I can get a really good sense of where energy and things are stuck in your body, which parts of your body are maybe not communicating well, where things aren't flowing well. And then we'll start kind of chatting. And so I want to encourage you when we're doing that piece to try to stay in a really grounded state in your body as much as possible. It's so common for really bright people to immediately pop up to the mind and, well, here's the reason for this and the whatever. And staying in your body, being really in that depth, is going to allow me to pull the energy that much faster. And the great thing is, because of the way I work, I'm just going where the energy is and pulling. And so asking you questions might allow me to tweak where it is or get remnants that are stuck. But unlike therapy or something, there's no reprocessing that has to be done. There's no having to go through the details of circumstance.
Sure.
Really just enough to connect energetically and pull it out.
Sounds good.
Sound good? All right, well, I can see you're not driving a car, so assuming you're somewhere where it's safe to do so,
Yes.
I'll invite you to close your eyes and start taking some deep breaths in through your nose, and exhaling out through your mouth. I'm going to have you draw your attention to the top of your head. And with each exhale, release any stuck energy, any patterns that no longer serve you from your scalp, your forehead, in and around your eye.
Sorry about that. I'm going to remove that.
Oh,
I apologize.
no problem.
I forgot it was in here.
No problem.
Okay.
If
One
it's
more
okay
time.
with you, I'm just going to start at the top of your head again, because
Perfect.
it'll be better for editing. Okay. Plus, we'll get you back in it. Okay, so take some deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Then drawing your attention to the top of your head, I invite you to release any tension, any stuck energy, any patterns that no longer serve you from your scalp, your forehead, from in and around your eyes, from in and around your ears. And really detoxing the brain itself, being open to releasing anything that's stuck from, the rational thinking part of your brain, from the emotional part of your brain. And even from the lower brainstem part of your brain. Releasing from your cheek sinuses, in your teeth, your jaw, dropping your attention lower, releasing from your throat and your neck. And when I pause, you're doing just fine. I'm just pulling extra stuff that I feel. Dropping your attention even lower with your next exhale, releasing from your collarbones, your shoulders, your arms, your hands and fingers. And then even lower in your chest, your heart, your lungs, your upper back, even the little muscles between your ribs. And dropping your attention even lower, releasing from your solar plexus area, your liver, your gallbladder, stomach, spleen, pancreas, small intestines. Dropping your attention lower, releasing from your lower abdomen, your colon, your adrenals, your kidneys, your low back, your pelvis, female organs. And then dropping your attention even lower, releasing from your tailbone, your buttocks, your thighs, knees, shins, calves, feet. And as you just let it all go, I invite you to feel, sense, or imagine grounding cords coming out of your feet, coming out of your tailbone, energetic cords that reach down through the surface of the earth, reaching further and further and further until you connect, they plug in to the earth's core. And on your next inhale, draw some of that earth energy up through the cords, up through your feet, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, up through your pelvis, your belly, your chest, your neck and throat, all the way up to the top of your head. And as that energy reaches the top of your head, I invite you to feel, sense, or imagine divine, white, warm, glowing light just pouring down from above, pouring down over and around your entire body, pouring in through the top of your head, filling any gaps, any nooks and crannies that were created by the energy that we've just released. And then dropping your attention to your heart space, which is really going to be kind of at the base of your breastbone, the lower edge of your sternum. I invite you to envision a space that is filling with that earth energy from below, the divine energy from above. And then fill that space also with your own energy of joy and love and peace and abundance. And when that feels complete, I invite you to let me know, and you can open your eyes if you wish. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good.
Connected.
What? Connected.
Connected.
Good. That's good. Your whole body and energetic self are really like wide open. They're they're not fighting me at all, which is awesome.
Good.
So when you mentioned earlier that you obviously have mm, horrific stressors that no mother would want, but that as the stress increases, you find your ability to care for yourself sort of wanes or goes to the other side when you're other centered. As you feel into, and I say feel into more than think about, because I really want you to stay connected in the body. As you feel into that, where do you feel that in your body?
Here.
And what does it feel like?
It it feels like the energy source that we just connected from above and below, it gets disengaged or taken offline or put aside, if you will, instead of being primary, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Do you have a sense or a feeling as to why that happens?
Habit of overdriving the system or overdriving the situation or trying to get solutions that aren't there.
There's no question, even by nature of profession, you're a problem solver, right? So trying to solve or think through or that pattern that's been created, um, I agree, even is energetically apparent. Beneath that, it feels energetically like there's a very large subconscious sense of not being good enough or it being selfish to take care of yourself, that others come first. Does that resonate for you at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Patterns from childhood.
And what would you say, um, or how would you assess your degree of willingness to shift that pattern? Realizing it's been existing there for a long period of time.
Willing but scared.
What what's scary about it?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's okay. And some of the conversation we're having now is really for purposes of me feeling where I can pull and where things are stuck. There is plenty of energy there that we can move. What if you were to say to yourself, like you were saying to your younger self, say, when you were 3 or 5, you're allowed to not be good enough. Now, you and I are both old enough and wise enough to know it's never true that a child or um, anyone our age could be not good enough, right? We're
Correct.
divine beings. Of course, we're good enough. So, not from a mind standpoint, but if you were talking to the younger version of yourself, giving permission and allowing, um, could you say to her, "You're allowed to not be good enough"?
Yes.
And if you are willing and able, saying it out loud sometimes is helpful.
You're allowed to not be good enough.
Do you feel the fear kick up in your body as you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I would invite you to do is to say it again a few times until I can pull out that fear as it comes up.
You're allowed to not be good enough. It's okay. You're allowed to not be good enough. You're allowed to not be good enough. You're allowed to not be good enough.
I don't know if you feel the flush as it popped and everything is like flushed up towards your head. There's like a whole lot of energy moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What if you said to her, "You're allowed to be selfish.
You're allowed to be selfish. You're allowed to care for yourself. You are allowed to be selfish.
You're allowed to put yourself first.
You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to put yourself first. You're allowed to put yourself first.
How about you're allowed to not know what to do?
You are allowed to not know what to do. You are allowed to not know what to do. You are allowed to not know what to do.
And I thought that one was pulled, and then now I got your right and left brain are arguing about this one. So if you don't mind saying that one a few more times, I'm just going to pull that out too.
You are allowed to not know what to do. You are allowed to not know what to do. You're allowed to not know what to do.
How about you're allowed to make mistakes?
You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes.
And if you went back to you're allowed to not be good enough, I just want to feel if that's sometimes they're very intertwined. So I want to see if there's any remnants left there.
You're allowed to not be good enough. You're allowed to not be good enough. You're allowed to not be good enough.
And what's coming up for you, if anything, in this process? Are there other things that are presenting to you to give permission for, or is there a new sense in your body?
More words, more asking permission, more it's okay to be needed. It's okay. It's okay to need.
Oh, that's a big one. You're allowed to be needy.
You're allowed to be needy. You're allowed to be needy. You're allowed to be nurtured. You're allowed to be nurtured.
This is energetically wonderful. So keep going with whatever you got, whatever wants to come out.
They're doing the talking. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to heal.
Oh, there's an energy of punishment attached to that. I don't know if it resonates for you that you feel like you're punishing yourself for some mistakes or wrongdoing or things in the past. There's almost an element of not deserving to heal as a punishment. If it resonates, I would choose some words around that as well.
It's good to heal. You deserve to heal.
You're allowed to be wrong.
You're allowed to be wrong. You're allowed to be cared for. You're allowed to not know. You're allowed to sit. You're allowed to breathe. You're allowed to let go. You're allowed to heal.
There is energy around you're allowed to break as well. The energy feels like you're sort of trying to hold together this glass house or house of cards or whatnot so things don't fall. And if you could envision, your 5-year-old self, your 3-year-old self trying to do that, you would, responding to her as the wonderful mom you are, be like, you're allowed to fall apart. You're allowed to break. It's okay.
You're not responsible. It's okay to break.
And you're allowed to be irresponsible. It's not saying you were, but that younger self is afraid that she couldn't even be, that it just can't happen. It's just a lot of pressure.
You're allowed to be irresponsible. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to learn.
There's just some remnants that are bubbling up and out. Your right and left brain are speaking again, which is good. Energetically, that is.
You're allowed to take time. You're allowed to discover. You're allowed to have joy. You're allowed to not know.
So dropping your attention fully into that heart space at the bottom of your breastbone, I would invite you to check in there and feel if the releasing process at this moment feels complete. Does it feel to you as if there are remnants or things left, or as if the part that we uncorked today is really kind of released?
It feels released. It feels smooth.
It feels really good to me too, energetically. So, as part of that connection in your heart space, that's the space where your soul resides. I would invite you to take a few minutes or a few moments just to again envision that earth energy coming up from below, the divine energy coming down from above, your own energy of joy, love, peace, and abundance, creating the most warm, pleasant, connected space you can imagine that you can return to anytime. And when you're done with that process, just let me know.
I'm done.
Awesome. How do you feel?
Good. Chest exploding.
You did awesome. You, for as much stuff as was in there, your body was kind of like, let me vomit it all out, like, let's get rid of it. And it was just a matter of how fast can I pull. Let's get it all out of there. And it was awesome because it was almost like like with a magician and their scarves, and the one color comes out and whatever. And so
Mhm.
the more I pulled, the more your body, your soul, your whole being let come up. So, we're pulling the one thing and then here comes the next. It was awesome. You did fabulous.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it definitely, I mean, it took on, I could feel, you know, it's almost like I kept having to draw energy like a battery. It's like from above, and from the energy from above that starts off like a blanket, that's like protective or filling the battery, flips into just there, just
Yes.
there. Kind of like you're going from, a corded system to a connected. And not as a protective blanket, but as just there.
Oh, absolutely. Just as that
Mhm.
support. Yeah.
Right. As opposed to stepping into something and drawing something in, which is where we had to start.
Right. Well, and the great thing is you can connect to those two energy sources anytime. and
Mhm.
return to that space anytime. Um, it's awesome. Nicely done.
Very cool. I'm glad. I feel really good. I can't, like I said, I feel like, you know, Tony Starkish, that, it's like, that the center and the source, and, it's like, okay, there's drawing from the right thing, if you will, and also giving and receiving energy without sitting down and saying, I'm now going to connect through my feet, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And it was really interesting because where your body, in terms of body, mind, spirit, body and spirit were like, oh, this is awesome. And for a while, it was the left brain, the logical left brain energetically that was
Mhm.
really arguing, like, are you sure about that? We can't really be irresponsible, or we can't really be not good enough. You know? And it's just that allowing that permission, because so often we spend all of our time fighting the things that we don't want to be,
Mhm.
um, that it ends up creating way more internal stress than it, like we would never have said that to one of our kids.
For sure.
um,
Hmm. Well,
Everyone tends to be kinder to others than to themselves.
truth. And it was interesting too, is every time you added a layer or were responding to something, it was like there was a clear hitch in my breath. It's like, you know, it was just like, oh wow, there's your little blip. So so
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much. It was uh, definitely an honor and a blessing to be in this space with you today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. This is um feels very transformative. I'm 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 a little overcome.
I am very glad.
Thanks. Appreciate all you do.